Hello everyone. I haven't done a YouTube video in a very long time. I always meant to do more. I always meant to get a better camera and actually put some effort into production, but I'm still using my cell phone and haven't gotten anywhere where I thought I'd be. But I did want to make a quick video today just to talk about the back springs I make to put scissors on the 93mm alox. I've been doing this for almost 4 years now, and back in the old days, what everyone used to do, and really the only option was to use a back spring from a Pioneer Solo. And down here I've got the top one. If you can see that, that's a back spring from a Pioneer Solo, and the one under it is the one I make. You can see it's similar shaped. I've made this part higher than normal. That's where the scissors actually come down to a rest, and this part here is curved. That's a ramp which then forces the scissor handle up closed. So in the closed position, the scissor handle will rest there, the tip of the scissor will rest there. Now I did that because in the old days, before I made springs, the Solo spring, it kind of worked, but it was far from ideal. This lower part here would, if you didn't kind of tweak this area just right, the tip of the scissor would flop right down and be gone. And especially with the newer modern scissor handle, the shape's a little different. So this worked well with the older style scissors, like with the screw, but not the modern. And so I got fed up and thought, okay, how hard can making back springs be? You need some metal, I don't know. I did a lot of research, and so the way I do it now is I buy 440C blade steel. I get that water jet and then heat treated. I get that done locally. This is what they look like after they come out from heat treat. They're pretty rough looking. The tab's still there from water jet, and they need a lot of finish work. So I mostly do all that by hand. I do tumble them to get most of the kind of the rough parts off, and the finished part I do all by belt sander, belt grinder, sanding mandrels, that kind of thing. And it's a pretty labor intensive process, but I'm really happy with how it ends up. And the main trick there is that I need to match the finish to the other spring so that it doesn't look out of place. So like if you look at one of these examples, you can see you can't really tell that middle spring is a custom made spring. It kind of, I polish everything up so it kind of looks like it belongs. It doesn't look out of place. And of course the benefit of using those is I don't have to buy a bunch of Pioneer Solos to get the springs from, to put scissors on. If you kept doing that, you'd end up with tons of extra scales and Solo blades and nothing to do with them, and that always kind of seemed wasteful to me. And of course the major reason why I make springs is because they work a lot better. So that's what I wanted to kind of show. So this red one I've got here is an old one. This is probably 3 years old now. One of the first ones I ever made. And this is kind of how I used to do things. It's a normal Pioneer, Solo spring in the middle. This is an old pair of scissors. You can see it's got the screw in there, and the end of the scissor handle on the old ones was a little thicker, so it actually worked with the Solo springs better than a modern one. So you can see the snap open is actually not bad. So you can snap open. Snap closed is where you'll notice a big change. It's kind of like a limp noodle. It's got no power at all, which makes sense if you think about it, because that closing force is resisting that spring force. So it's got to close this as it's closing, compress that, and also snap it in. And the pivot area on scissors, that's a 91mm part, so it's actually smaller than a corresponding pivot from a 93mm part. So you actually need to make that end of the spring thicker, if that makes sense, which is again why I wanted to make custom springs. So if I compare, these two models here are ones I finished this week, and just to show a difference. My fit and finish is much different than I used to too, because I polish all of the springs, the liners, the key ring area. It's all nice and shiny. It looks very pretty. I polished the screws, so they all look like well, as fancy as I can get them anyway. And most importantly, here's how the scissors work now. So it's got a strong snap open and a strong snap close. And you can see right at the bottom, it's still got a lot of force. So it's still got to do the same thing as before. It's got to resist that closing spring force, but I designed the thick end of the spring to be thicker, so it's pushing up harder on those on the scissors, so you actually get that nice close.